guys, it's John. Got a new thought-provoking video for you. I thought I'd create this after many requests, and I'll go through the history behind it shortly. It's obviously in line with the new YouTube channel. We're going to be uploading several videos every week now, but we want to create some really thought-provoking videos, and as most people who follow me know, that although what I do for a living, I'm very scientifically minded, so I kind of believe that before I believe anything, I need to get scientific evidence or base. So I do my research on quite a lot of stuff and try and educate myself. Well, it's going to cause a lot of controversy, this video, because of what we're talking about, but I just want people to watch it with an open mind and kind of, I mean, you're more than welcome to leave your comments in the section, or you can email us and I'll give you the contact details at the end of the video. But I mean, my history is, we are going to be talking about a religion-based, man-made religions. I grew up in a family that was massively religious. I had, give you an example, like my grandmother was from Ireland, got a massive religious past. She came to England, had my mum, although started off in a religious background, she kind of has the same theory as me now, and she doesn't follow any kind of religion. But we got criticised heavily from the family because of the chosen career that we took. Additional to that, on a daily basis, because of my job, I get abused from quite a lot of religious circles. There's been instances where they've been physical with us, and so I kind of thought, well, I'm going to look into this now and do some research and really find out whether I am correct in my thoughts. I class myself as an atheist when it comes to religion. Now, an atheist isn't necessarily a non-believer. An atheist is someone who needs evidence before they'll believe. They just won't take somebody's word as gospel. It needs to be proven in some way. And it's the same as I do with my job every day. I make outrageous claims of what I can do, but at the end of the day, I do try and back it up with scientific claims at the end of it. So I want to start by, I mean, I'm not particularly picking on one religion in general, but obviously the most common religion in the country I live in is Christianity. Look at the close links between Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and they're virtually identical. I mean, they're all written from the main book, the big book. They'll have the same prophets and messiahs. It's just that they all have a separate messiah that came at a later stage. I mean, you start with Judaism. Obviously Moses was the big figure there. You had Christianity was Jesus, and you go on to Islam, it's Muhammad, and each one is set at a later stage than the other, from the the Old Testament to the New Testament, and then basically it continues from there. So I kind of think that they're virtually identical in every other way, but I've got a very thought-provoking bit of research I've done, and I want you to share your opinions with me. I'm not saying one way or another whether these religions are real or not, but I've got some research to put forward to you that make you question whether it is. So, I mean, religions can be found as far back as 10,000 BC, and you know, a lot of them were pagan religions. They're all kind of quoting to have an unseen creator, a giver of light, a son of God. I mean, it's all on the same kind of process. But the one that interests me the most and sparks my imagination is the story of Horus. Okay, now Horus was an Egyptian god. Now they found scribes in the Egyptian tomb from 2500 BC, so 2,500 years before Christianity was born. So the story of Horus is that he was son of God, who was known as the Light, the sun god. Horus had an enemy that we know as Set. Now Set is also known as the Darkness. Okay, This was a perfect personification of light over dark. So in reality, overnight we have like a sunrise, and in the morning we have a sunset. So we've got the light overpowering the dark, and the dark overpowering the light, which is what everything is based on, is light over dark, good over evil. And it's one of the oldest deities known to man. So the story is Horus is as follows, okay? Now listen to these key facts because they're very important if you were to make a comparable claim against any other religion, quite a few religions. So, the story is of Horus. He was born on the 25th of December, same as Jesus, to the Virgin Isis, which is also known as Mary, same as Jesus. It was via an Immaculate Conception. There was a bright star in the east. There were three kings that followed the star to adorn the new saviour. At the age of 12, Horus became a prodigal child teacher. At 30, he was baptised by a figure known as Adab, loosely translated as John. He travelled with 12 disciples, performed miracles such as walking on water, healing the sick, water to wine. Then Horus was betrayed by one of his disciples called Typhon. Virtually identical story to the Christianity Judas story. After betrayal, he was crucified on the cross. He was then buried in a tomb for 3 days, same, until he resurrected. It sounds very familiar, all this does. Then we have another religious called Attis of Phrygia, born on the 25th of December by the Virgin, Immaculate Conception. He travelled with 12 disciples until he was betrayed by one of them. He was then crucified, laid buried for 3 days until he was resurrected. Then we have Krishna, a more common one. So Krishna was born of a Virgin Immaculate Conception on the 25th of December. There was a star in the east. He performed miracles such as turning water into wine, healing the sick. He was then betrayed by a disciple, crucified, laid in a tomb for 3 days before he resurrected. Then we have Dionysus of Greece. I don't know if I've said that correct, but he was born on the 25th of December, was a travelling teacher, performed miracles such as feeding the great masses, walking on water, water to wine, was then betrayed and crucified. 3 days later, was resurrected. It's getting a bit kind of, continuation really. Then we have Mithra of Persia, born on the 25th of December by a Virgin and Immaculate Conception, performed miracles, betrayed, crucified, and resurrected 3 days later. One key point to notice as well, that all these religions that have been mentioned, that will be mentioned, all have a special day of worship, Sunday. Okay? So, in fact, we've got loads more. We've got Hesus, which sounds very similar to Jesus. We have Bedru of Japan, Cadmus of Greece, Thor, son of Odin, Prometheus, and many more dating back thousands of years before Christianity. So kind of, again, a bit of a... So, a few questions that we need answering is, why born of a virgin, first of all? Why the 25th of December? Why crucified? And why resurrected 3 days later? And why 12 disciples? Well, I think I can answer this. Firstly, I think it's all astrological. So stars in the east, so the big king star that appears in the east star, as they call it, is actually Sirius. Okay, so Sirius is obviously a star in the sky. It aligns itself with 3 stars from Orion's belt. These stars are also known as the 3 kings, loosely translated from the Orion's belt. So on the 25th of December every year, the East Star and the 3 king stars from Orion's belt, they go into perfect alignment, in which we see a sunrise from certain places on Earth and the birth of the sun. The constellation Virgo is also known as Virgin. Virgo is a Latin name for virgin. Ancient hieroglyphics translate it into a letter M, which is why all the virgins start with the letter M in front of the name. Example, Mary, Mithra, Maya, plus many more. For 3 days of the year, the East Star and the King Star drop out of alignment, known as the darkness, or the death of the sun. Again, 3 days, dead, let's try and work it out. Until this formation then creates a perfect cross, which is known as the crux, and it's the Southern Star Formation. Okay, Latin for crux is crucifixion, and after these 3 days, the sun rises again and brings the light. So it's a bit so inscribed in this original Egyptian temple. They claim it's 2500 BC, but it was literally found 2500 years ago, so before Christianity. Basically, in the Temple of Luxor in Egypt, the full story of Horus is written. So basically, the story is that Thor obviously visited the Virgin Isis in angel form, and then announced she would unveil a saviour and the Son of God through Immaculate Conception. Then Neph was the equivalent like Gabriel or a godlike figure. The Holy Ghost impregnated Isis. On the 25th of December, a star in the east guided 3 kings to the birthplace. Weird. At the age of 12, he became a prodigal teacher. At the age of 30, he was baptised, he performed miracles, he was followed by 12 disciples. He was then later betrayed by a disciple and thus crucified and laid to rest for 3 days before being resurrected. Doesn't this sound like very familiar? The most recent Messiah, obviously, is Jesus, who was born on the 25th of December to the Virgin Mary. Star in the East, 3 kings, prodigal child teacher, at 12, baptised at 30, performed miracles, walking on water, turning water into wine, feeding the 5,000, healing the poorly, giving to the poor, everything that's kind of already been mentioned. But these were all the stuff before was all centuries before Jesus. Again, it doesn't make sense. Then he was obviously betrayed by Judas, he was crucified, laid in a tomb for 3 days, then resurrected. Identical. So it's kind of getting a bit monotonous. So then, that's Christianity, but we can take it a step further before that. We look at Moses himself, okay? So Moses can be found many times, literally before Moses himself was even around. So I'll give you an example. Okay, so the story of the Genesis flood and the Gilgamesh flood is a fine example. So global floods caused by mankind's sins, sent by God, rained for 40 days, 40 nights, ordered to build a boat, take all animals and few humans, released a bird to find land. That's very important, that statement, because Moses did exactly the same, but he released a dove to find dry land. Okay? Then there were sacrifices after the flood, and everyone was blessed after the flood. Exactly the same. Then we have Sargon of Akkad. His story is identical to Moses' life story, also centuries before Moses. Has the same birthday as Moses, is known as the lawgiver and the creator of the 10 Commandments. Received commandments from God at the top of a mountain. As a baby, he was placed into a reed basket in a river to avoid infanticide. Identical. And then basically was raised by royalty, hence giving him his popularity. So the same story is told many, many times. 3 examples are Minu of India, Minos of Crete, and Meses of Egypt. Whose names are sounding very familiar, aren't they? So my point is, it looks like an obvious plagiarisation of each other, starting with the first one of Horus. Then we've got, but these are just a few examples I've given. I can probably list 25 others that will have the same kind of history behind it. So, my personal opinion is, if there truly was a divine creator that would give evidence of himself. So, number one, people that have claimed that there's been humans on this earth for 100,000 years at least. Richard Dawkins says it's a lot more. Richard Dawkins is one of a world-renowned scientist, biologist, knows what he's talking about. He claims it's 150 to 200,000 years people living on this earth. So you've got 190, well, let's say it's 100,000 years for argument's sake. So there's 98,000 years with no kind of messages or no proof of God. So this is assuming Christianity is real, okay? So then 2,000 years ago, so 98,000 years after civilizations have been walking the earth for a long, long time, then God decides to send somebody to prove that he's real. And he wants, and he wants. He then sends them to an area of the world where, history says this, okay? The area was, people were very uneducated, nobody could read, people were dying at the age of 30 or even 20 due to ridiculous illnesses. Even tooth decay was killing people. And so these people had no ability to spread the word. The means of travel were terrible. So then, he's waited 98,000 years already to find the perfect time. Bit weird for me. But then, 2,000 years ago, he says, okay, first of all, I will pop my son, the giver of light, and my only son at that, into a civilization that would not really back up, not really be able to spread the word. So in reality, if it was a decent choice, if you could make that choice again, wouldn't it be more obvious to send him to somewhere like China? China were massive literaries. They were able to, their education was fantastic. They was able to travel the world, they was able to kind of pass messages. Even the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, they had technology far advancing than anyone else. So again, wouldn't that be a perfect place to place these people? So it kind of just makes me wonder, why then? What? So I kind of find it very hard to believe. But let's say we give Christians a break and say, yeah, it is real. It could be real. But I need a few more questions answering. Number one is the story of the resurrection. Okay? Nobody witnessed it. There was no written content from anywhere near that time up until 200 years. So we're talking 200 AD was the first kind of mention of it all, and that was by Paul. Okay, so Paul, and that was the first mention of any kind of Jesus-like figure. So it makes you wonder if it's kind of folklore that's been passed on, but then because it's been written in so many different ways, it sticks. I just think that I think we should have a look at the facts I've mentioned. I mean, just look at Horus as an example. You can go do your research on. It's all over the place. It will kind of dispel any myths, and it does explain it in an astrological way. On the 25th of December, the sun sets in this direction, hence we see the Son of God. For 3 days of the year, it drops, and we see the darkness, so it's the death of God on a cross, because of the Southern Cross or the crux. And then 3 days later, it rises again. We can explain the Virgin Mary via astrology. We can explain the miracle. We can explain everything. So that's just my thoughts, and and I think because of the research I've done, I can kind of say, I can wholeheartedly prove that it isn't real. But I'm not going to dismiss anyone for having faith. All I'd ask is that these people, respect other people's faiths as well. I don't claim to know everything, but I do claim that I would have enough respect and not to go attacking, people of other faiths. I would always love to think that there's a divine creator out there, who oversees everything. Quite possibly there could be, but we wouldn't be getting the information correct. We wouldn't be celebrating that person. So anyway, thought-provoking video. That's what I thought. So if you can leave your comments in the comment section. Also, if you come across this video by accident, we're going to be doing at least 3 or 4 of these kind of videos a week, thought-provoking videos, where we try and do the research first. And so if you can hit the subscribe button, if you find us on Facebook, if you can like our fan page, it's obviously, if you just type John 6 Cents or Whisper It Meets Science, you'll be able to see us. But I want you to thank you for having a look at this, and hopefully it's created a few thoughts for you. Thank you very much.